Okay, welcome to our our next what are they called? Live streaming event. Yes. Okay, so this is going to be a little different because today we're gonna start a chess revolution. Remember the day. I think it's the 16th of December 2020, and this is you listening to this historical um, speech from Mike Basman. So this is about the chess world and how we can develop chess. So put Morphy to one side. Those games were great. What we know is that chess is a minority sport. I kind of did something. I've taught chess for 40 years. I ran a tournament. It had average of 50,000 kids in it. Maybe a million new people learned to play chess. So that was a start. But there are 8 billion people in the world, and we don't think they know how to play chess. But certainly other sports, other activities are more popular. So how can we make chess more popular? So I was thinking of it in an exponential way. I thought, well, maybe in a year, if I teach 100 people, and those 100 people then teach another 100 people. And so it goes on because, it expands. So the question is, how many years would it take to teach 8 billion people? Now, of course, we're not mathematicians. I'm not, so I'm putting it out to you. I'm sure there are some really smart people listening to my podcast. But I've also put the question to a top mathematician, Dear Davan, who was the author of this book, The Ultimati Guide to Chess, which you can get on mikebasmanchess.com. It is a beginner's book. And I've asked that question, and I hope that she will be able to tell me what the timeline is. If you started with 100 people in a year, how many years would it take to teach the whole world? In fact, curiously, on the first page of the book, she mentions that famous story, which you might well be familiar with, which is of the inventor of chess being offered a reward by some Indian emperor. And the inventor of chess said, well, just give me 1 grain of sand and stick it on the first square of the chessboard, but double it every time. So you'd have 2 grains on B1 and 4 grains on C1, and then you go around the chessboard till you got to the 64 squares. So the emperor didn't think that was a big problem, but he did ask his wise men to calculate it. And I think they said that he would need to give him the amount of grain that would cover the whole of India 6 foot deep, to fulfill the request of the chess inventor. So it shows that when you do things mathematically, exponentially, we can get to enormous numbers. So we'll see what number Dear comes up with. We'll see what the optimum number you start with. You start by teaching 1 person, and how long does it take to then cover the globe? Or do you start by, say, teaching 20 or 100? This would be a fascinating question. Now, that's the first problem. The second problem is it's okay to teach people to play chess. But as the joke goes, you can take a horticulture, but you can't make a think. I think that was it Dorothy Parker? You can teach people chess, but you can't teach them to play well. And that is the problem. Millions of people are now taking up chess, but they're not going to learn to play well, mainly because they'll come up against books written by grandmasters, even beginners' books, which won't really teach them. They will be starting at too high a level. That has been the problem with chess teaching all down the centuries. There has actually only been one book which teaches people properly how to teach chess. And of course, I have to mention this book, which I wrote myself, Beginner to Winner in 2 months. This is the only book. Of course, I'm embarrassed to boast about my own wares, but it is my duty to promote chess and teach people not only to play chess, to play it well, and that will also, I think, in the long term, benefit people's analytical abilities, and therefore we will have better abilities to solve other problems. They say chess is a valuable game. Well, I think it's valuable if it teaches analytical skills. So I think it's our sacred duty not just to play chess, but to allow people all over the world to enjoy the game and also become smarter analysts, which will help us to solve our problems. So that's the message I'm giving. And clearly you'd think how you would deliver these chess lessons to friends or maybe on Zoom to others. But what you would need to do would have the materials which you are teaching with. So therefore, I'm going to give in these next weeks, I'm just going to do a short resume of the Beginner to Winner chess course. Then you can know that you are actually teaching them in the best possible way. So this will be sort of interactive. And what I'm doing is to start you out with the course. The unique contribution of the course was the idea that you have to teach people to see a single attack before you teach them to see a double attack. So therefore, before tactics, the tactics in essence is the double attack, the fork, the pin, the skewer, the discovery. They're all double attacks. They're all exciting. But people should start by being able to see a single attack. So that's what the contribution of the book is. And there is no other book that has done that. So, of course, I recommend you to go out and get a copy of the book, and then you can do the exercises, and then you'll have a sound grasp of how to teach people chess. Let's do one of those exercises together. The fundamental book begins with the capturing exercises. So we have, say, capturing exercise. Let's say if you want the book, it's very inexpensive, only £7 from MikeBasmanChess.com. And that is an amazingly low price because we know most chess books cost about £15 to £20. But we kept the prices low. Again, for various reasons, that people don't have a lot of money. Now let's look at this first position. We're not starting really with checkmating. I mean, when you're teaching your beginner, you may have taught them the rules, how the pieces are set up, what is checkmate, how the pieces capture. But what you should focus on is the simplest concept in chess. That is not checkmating. Checkmating is a very complicated idea. But capturing is a simple idea. It's just one piece capturing another. So unless the person can see the captures, clearly can scan the board and recognize all the captures and know how all different pieces move, then of course you're not getting anywhere. So let's start with this diagram, which we have up on this is from the first diagram in Beginner to Winner. And I'd like you to look at the board. The puzzle is to see all the captures white could make on this move. The other requirement is that you should put the captures in order. So we're using the principle of left to right and bottom to top. Left to right means you make all the captures on the A file first, to the left of the chessboard. That is white taking on the pieces on the with a piece which is on the A file, and then you move to the B file. If one piece can make more than one capture, you can put the captures in any order you like. Now, when I say bottom to top, if we're looking at this diagram on the screen, supposing you had two white pieces on the A file, then say you had a piece on A2, like a queen on A2, and a rook on A4, then you would make the captures with the queen first, and then the rook. So that is going from the bottom of the diagram going upwards. So bottom to top, left to right. Now the other thing, a lot of your victims that you're going to teach chess to may be children. And therefore, what we do is to have an important principle, which is, I think, very popular. That principle is maximum thinking, minimum writing. Now, writing is quite a strain for kids, though it is necessary they learn to write, because when you play chess, you have to learn to write your moves down. Certainly when we're out of lockdown, if you go into tournaments, you're expected to write your moves down. So if you're used to the computer writing all the moves, this isn't going to help you in chess tournaments. So don't lose that skill of being able to write the moves. But nonetheless, we're going to do minimum writing because most chess is done in the head. And one of the struggles in chess is to kind of enter that dark room, which is your mind, where you can't see what your thoughts are, like putting a torch inside your head, or even putting a torch inside your pupils' heads to see what's going on inside their heads. That's very tricky. Everything on the chessboard is clear. There's nothing hidden. But what is hidden is the thoughts of your opponents or the thoughts of your pupils. So by actually getting them to do maximum thinking, they then would get into connection with their thought processes, because often people are not aware of their thought processes. The thoughts just pass through their minds and they don't control them very well. So this would be a very good skill for them to learn, how to organize their thoughts and see the captures. So I want you to look at this position, and if you've got a pen and paper, possibly you could write down white taking black on this move. So I'll give you, so all the possible white captures, write them down in the order I've said, which is left to right, bottom to top. So we'll give you about half a minute to write them down, or if you're not writing them down, because we're using maximum thinking, minimum writing, just organize them in your head and see how many captures there are. Well, you may have been completely confused by all my teaching. That's not surprising. That's what I find with my classes. You teach them something one week and they've forgotten it next week, or they've reversed all your suggestions. Yeah, but that, of course, I think any teacher will understand. What you think is clear to you is not going to be clear to the pupil. Now, I think your first capture should have been rook a7 check, but it could have been rook takes h4. And you see how it's written? We've got a capital letter for the rook, and then we got an X for the capture, and then we got A7 for the square you take on. That's how we're meant to write our moves down. And the plus sign is the check. And we have to be pretty fussy in chess. Make sure the check sign is put in, because I often teach beginners, and you often find both kings are in check, or one king, when it's in check, then moves out of check into another check square. So when people play chess, they have to be twice as smart, 3 times as smart as they are in everyday life. So we have to insist on this precision in chess. Chess is quite a cruel game, and you know, one move loses your queen or mates. You know, you play 50 fantastic moves, one careless one will lose the game. So getting this discipline of accuracy is important. So the rook takes a7, and the check sign is important to see that you've noticed what's going on in the board. So the first capture would have been rook takes a7 check, or rook takes a h4, because, as I said, you can put them in any order. Then going to the next one, you should have seen bishop takes h7. And then there's nothing on the C line, so we go to the D line, and we would have had the knight going to e8, taking a bishop, or the knight going to b5, taking a rook. And so there, that would again be knight x, nx, and it's n for knight, because the k is for the king. Capital N for knight takes b5 check, don't forget the check sign, n takes e8 check, again the knight takes the bishop, so that's the next capture. Then we come to the E line, and we've got the king takes e2, kings can capture, and finally we got bishop takes e3, which I think is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 captures for white. So, hands up class, who got that 100% correct? Well, I'm sure it was all of you, so it was a stupid question, wasn't it? But if you're still confused, then, as I say, get my book. But let's do a second position. So here, what we're trying to do with our pupils is get the foundations of chess. The foundations of chess are called material chess. That is not a term which you will be familiar with. I'm sure you will have heard of forks, skewers, tactics. You'd have heard of openings, Queen's Gambit, Scotch game. But you would never have heard the word material chess, which is one I coined myself, because material means the capturing, one piece taking another, and we're starting with the single capture. That lays the solid foundations upon which you can add all the other complexities of chess. The UFOs, the tactics, Arcadian chess, positional chess, endgames. See, there are 6 aspects to chess. That's why chess is such a complex game. But we start with the foundations, material chess. Let's go on to a second position and see. Whoops. Let's see if I can get to the second position. Lo and behold, it is the second position. So this is the same. We're going to do the captures for white, bottom to top. Sorry, left to right, bottom to top. And glance at this position. If you'd like, take out your pen and paper, your pencil and paper, and write those captures down, and then we'll see if you got them all. I'll give you about half a minute. Now, a curious fact. I'll give half a minute, then I'll start talking. Curious Facts is one of the great innovations, which is chess.com and possibly light chess, where you can play chess with the computer. And then it seems on chess.com you can tell the computer to start with what sort of player you are. And I've noticed quite a lot of people saying they're intermediate, and others saying they're beginners. What I often see is that the intermediate players are usually quite wrong, and they are total beginners. But quite a lot of the beginners are also quite wrong because they're quite strong players, but they just think they're rubbish. There is no measurement system by which chess players understand whether they're any good or not. I actually have this measurement system by having created this hierarchy of strength, starting with material chess. And if you use material chess, you may actually improve your chess. A lot of the people actually watching this, what do you call it, podcast or live stream, may be unaware how strong they are. They may have grossly overvalued their strength or grossly undervalued their strength, but they haven't really got any way of making this judgment. If you go through the course which I have explained, then you're able better to understand what it is what makes a strong player. And fundamentally, a strong player will not make basic material errors. They will not leave pieces on prees or put them on prees. And when the opponent threatens a piece, then they will be able to respond appropriately. But it's amazing, even players of quite high level do not understand what a safe move is or even what a threat is. But once you do this course, you will have a much clearer picture of chess itself. You may actually learn something from what I'm telling you. It may not be too elementary. Let's actually go through this this position. I think the other thing it gives is the ability to scan a position. Because what happens usually when we make mistakes is because we're focusing on one aspect of the chessboard, one piece, and then we totally omit the opponent's move comes as a total shock to us because we were thinking about something else. We couldn't see the wood for the trees. Let's see the first capture, I think, would be bishop takes d5 check. So give that a tick, and don't forget you only get half marks if you didn't put the check sign in. And the second capture is rook x b8 check. Then you've got the bishop being able to make two different captures. There's bishop takes on a5, and bishop takes on g5. And now it gets complex because the knight has three different captures, and it's easy to miss them. Knight takes h6 check. Yeah, so give yourself 1 point if you saw the capture, and another point if you wrote it down properly. Nx h6 and with the plus sign. N takes on d4, and of course the hardest to see is a knight going backwards. Knight takes g3. And then we've got the last possible captures. Here we've got two pieces on the g line. So the going bottom to top, we start with the king. King takes on g3, and then we do the pawn capture. Now, the pawn captures are written in a special way because you would have to actually say where the pawn came from. So you wouldn't say px g5 because there's no letter for the pawn. In international notation, you name the file the pawn is on, and you don't use a capital letter. Pawns only get a capital letter when they queen and become an actual piece rather than the pawn. So you would actually write gxh5 because the pawn's on the g line. Again, this sort of accuracy, you can say, well, you know, this is being fussy, but I do say you need to be fussy in chess because you can't afford to make a single mistake. So if you can get a habit of making your recording accurate, then maybe your moves can also be accurate. So G takes H5, little g takes H5 is how you write a pawn capture. There is a practical reason why they invented this notation. It was to avoid ambiguity because the pawn can take in both ways. And if you just said x h5, it might mean if the pawn's got a choice of captures, you don't know which one it could make. So this little detail, instead of saying pawn takes h5, saying the file the pawn came on, avoids a massive amount of ambiguity. Some of you may even have used the old descriptive notation, which is a charming notation. All the old books are written pawn to king 4, and I think even in the Beth Harmon Netflix picture, they're still using modern chess openings. They're still using this old notation, and even Bobby Fischer, the world champion, was using it even in the 60s. It is a charming notation. It has advantages, but it's incredibly ambiguous. And so you could have each square possibly having 4 different names. So every move you're making with the descriptive notation, you have to check whether the move is ambiguous or not. Otherwise, you might be writing something misleading. The algebraic notation, I agree, is more impersonal, but it is more accurate. There's very little ambiguity in it. As the poem goes, rooks and knights, they're the ones, where they come from and where they go. Normally, you're only going to have ambiguity with the rooks and knights, because you've got 2 rooks and 2 knights. I know you've got 2 bishops, but they're on different colored squares. I know you've got 8 pawns, but ambiguity just cannot happen because of that cunning device of naming the file from where the pawn came. And of course, you can have 2 queens. You can promote, but again, that is a rarity. So I think we can make a case for the algebraic notation, even though we accept the nostalgia of the descriptive. Right, so that was the first lesson in a new era for chess, where every chess player, and I say to my pupils, each one of you, my pupils, you have to become not just a great chess player, but also a great chess teacher. And that is that solemn obligation I want to place on you, my viewers. Become a great player and become a great chess teacher. Thank you. I think we go on to the live chessing. Now, how do I get on to it? I've got to go to, yes, right, we'll meet, I think we'll meet the Beth this week, or we'll start with the Beth. I think last week I managed to beat the Beth at 2400, but I was playing the white pieces, which is going to be much easier. Beating the Beth at 2400 will be quite a challenge. Perhaps after that I might go up to the Beth at 2700 when she became Super Grandmaster. My technicians tell me no such computer exists, but I have heard that you can attain a game with Beth at 2700. I'll have to find that out. Meanwhile, to have any credibility as a chess player, I've got to try and beat Beth with black. Could be an upward climb, but we're ready for the challenge. So let's take on the mighty Beth, star of stage, screen, and the chessboard, and defector to the Soviet Union, I believe. Right, let's see if she'll let me play black. Clicked on black, and that might give me black. Now I can press play. I need more experience. Right, e4. Okay, Beth. Let's hit the board. I'm sure she'll make me in a couple of minutes. Knight c3. Strong move. She's not giving anything away. Now h4. Well, I can try this move. g4. Because if she takes, no, she didn't. She could have taken my pawn on g4, but then I was going to take her pawn on d4 or dolly 4, yeah, and then I would have exchanged the center for a side pawn. So she's playing something more cagey, and she's going to put her knight onto g3, powerful position, because the knight is then threatening to come into h5. I have given myself, I have to admit, some weak squares with the choice of opening. Now, think we will play our pawn to d6 to let the other one out. The other bishop is now guarding, so she's playing a solid move, bishop e3, and that's dissuading me from playing my pawn to c5. Now we don't know where our kings are going to be, so that's a decision we're both having to make. So I can't play pawn to c5, but I could play pawn to c6 and maybe expand. Now she's playing knight to g3, excellent move, and that puts me into some trouble because her knight's coming to h5, and that's harassing my bishop. So I think we're going to put the pawn up to h5. Disadvantages there is she might be able to use the g5 square for her bishop. Now, it's not clear what she's going to do. She's played bishop e2. Is she going to castle kingside? If she castles kingside, she might find her h-pawn becomes weak. Now, I don't want to play knight to d7 here, because her knight would come into f5 and attack my bishop. So I need my bishop c8. Well, let's expand on the queen side. If we expand on the queen side, she might not be willing to then castle. So she's played a3. Again, she hasn't committed her king. I think, should I play? If I play a5, I'm a little worried about her playing d5, which would split my queenside pawns. So I have to make a committal move here. Now I want to play knight d7 to b6, but again there's that weakness on f5, which is not which is a problem to me. So I have to find a move here. Now I have to make a decision about my knight. Well, I can't take too long making this decision because time is ticking away. Oh, actually, there is not. There's not a time limit on this game, but there is a time limit. Let's face it. We can't sit here for ages. You'll switch off and go home. Right now, am I in what is called Zugzwang? This is quite possible. A5. So if I play A5, will she play D5? And then, yeah, no, I can't see an answer to, or maybe there is. No, still can't see an answer to. If I play that, if I play my knight, my pawn to A5, which I want to do. So is the F5 square a source of pain? She can make more waiting moves than me at the moment. Right. The other possibility is to play e6. Yeah. With that again might lead to the problem of playing d5. So I think I've never done so much thinking in my life about my openings. I can't believe it. Maybe I'm just taking Beth too seriously. She probably is. She's only a computer. Okay, I'll have to play knight to a6. Oh, she still played d5. Ah, right. Okay, this girl is good. No, what are we gonna do? So I'd overlook that one. Yeah, right. Yes, well played, Beth. I've got to hand it to you. You know what you're doing. Now, how do I make sense out of this position? Right, because my knight is now along the square. Okay, no, still can't get a good move out of this. So looks like we have to go back to the drawing board with this opening. Touch. Okay, I'm feeling somewhat discomforted, and that's an understatement. I think this is going to be the demise of Basman. But let's struggle on gamely. Oops. Let's fight to the bitter end. Right. Bishop b5. Yes, all guns are blazing. Beth means business. Yeah. Well, if her attack disappears, then at least I've got the better center. Right. Okay. Well, I'm interested in a pawn at h4, but maybe not that interested. But maybe it's a very strange position. What about playing our bishop? Whoops. Come on. To egg5. I could have taken on c3. Yeah. This is giving me lots and lots of grief. She's threatening. What is she threatening? Well, she looks a bit materialistic to me. She's threatening my. Yeah, if I guard my. If I play Queen c7, the knight will come into d5. I'm squealing there. I think she might also play knight f5. Or should I move my knight? How much power has she got? Let's play the queen to c8. That defends the piece. She played queen e2. She's playing fast and she's confident. So she's going to build up on my pathetic little pawn at a7. Okay, I think I ought to develop something. Hooray, I got the piece out. Knight f5. Right, that puts the pressure on me. She might get a few nasty checks in. Still, we're not worried. We're just terrified. Huh. Maybe can I think I ought to take that knight then. Okay. So she played queen to c4. God, that's a real shock large at best. It's a real killer. What have I missed? Probably everything. Okay, I'm going to try my knight to e5. She's taken with the queen. I better take back with the rook. Okay. Oops. Well, we still have a fairly solid position here. Okay. Well, I wasn't impressed by the Beth here because she's got double pawns. I got a better center. I know she's killing my king. Can I get away with knight takes e4? Okay, we're gonna bite the bullet. She might play rook b1, but rook c7. Okay, we're gonna bite the bullet. Take another spot. Now she's played bishop d4. Well, we just want a quiet life. We don't want no trouble. Can you just leave me alone, Beth? Stop attacking me. I'm not attacking you. Well, what's she up to? Rook e1. Well, we could take another pawn. She's been very generous with her favors. Pawn after pawn after... No. This is a cunning trap, I bet. She might then play rook takes a7 check. Oh, what an evil woman. That was a good move. Ooh, don't like that. If I play knight takes c3, she would play rook takes a7 check. I block my rook, she'll swap the rooks and take my knight. But if I move my king to e6, she'll play rook takes e7 check, and or something like that. So, and if I go knight c5, it still doesn't look good. What does it? It still doesn't look quite what I want to do. So I think, should I play my knight down to dolly 2, and then swing around the knight round to c4? Is that the best I can do? The other moves don't seem... I could play knight takes c3, rook takes... It's too complex. I don't want to do that. Well, knight takes c3, rook takes a7 check, king e6. If he plays rook takes e6 check, I play on f5. He plays knight g7, I check, I play king f7. So knight takes c3 I might get away with. Is that knight takes c3? Will I get away with that? Rook takes a7 check, king e6. Knight g7 check, rook takes e7 check, king takes f5. Well, should we take the risk, fellas? See, on the tactics, I'm not confident against Beth. But I think I'm gonna do it nonetheless. Okay. What have I missed? Don't know. Trying to use the king as a fighting piece. Okay. Okay, that could be the losing move. Maybe knight d2 is better. I'm going to try this one. Use my king as a fighting piece. Ah, I forgot that she takes with the knight. Oh, that's annoying because that was my matter. Well, do I really need the e7? Can I go? Can I just try and swap the rooks? Yeah. Knight to c6. Okay, we'll take that rook off. Yeah. And again, her knight does not look in the best of shape. Now I think I've got to move the knight somewhere. So let's. Who's ahead? Are we 1, 2, 3, 4? We're equal on points. I thought I'd be ahead on points, but I'm not. I've got to move that knight. Okay. C4 she's played. Okay. Now where's the knight going to go? We could put the knight into here. She's threatening to go around. She's played there. Now, maybe we play something like rook to get the rook working. Yeah, get the rook working. Try and win the c pawn. Can we not win the c pawn as she set another cunning trap? Can't see it. Okay. d2. Right. Now, can we attack the king? Or could we play the knight somewhere? To d5. Or to c2. Yeah, maybe the knight. Knight to d5. That looks a reasonable shot. Knight to d5. Yes, she is now threatening knight d4 check, which will annoy my king. And she's played a good move there. I think we should go knight. Come on, knight. Oh, if I move the knight, she's going to take on d6. I overlooked that. Oh dear. Right, so knight. This is annoying. This is where the Beth comes into her own. It takes d6 check. What we're going to do. Yes. Could we play g3? No, because she's going to get into f5 again. Very annoying this. How do I get out of this one? Right. Knight f4, knight d4 check. King to f7, knight f5. It's very annoying. She's only d6. I could bet. No, I can't do that. D6. Anyway, Well, something's got to be played. I think. Okay, we'll play. No. Yeah, we'll play that. Which I don't like. This move I do not like. Yeah, she plays here. Now, king here. Again, I'm in the back foot now. I'll move the knight. She's going to take on d6. So move back here. Bishop d4. Oh, for once, Beth doesn't know what to do. Should we go g3? Just see what she does then. g3. Pawn takes pawn. Rook there. Check. Well, we have a lot of fun, don't we? Ah, she's retreated. But Beth did not like my last move. Okay, we're going to still take check. Bishop there. Okay, let's bang the knight in on g4. Now, what's she up to? Bishop a2. Can we be careful? If I play knight e3, if I play knight c3, she takes check. Well, maybe I could play knight c3. It looks like a curious little move. I don't know what she's going to do against it. At least it's that was all. No. Ah, how annoying. Check. She goes there. I give another check. It's really not clear. I give a check. I can get a draw. We don't want to draw with this wretched computer. We can't play. Get a discovered check on my rook. Depends where my rook goes. I can play rook e5. If I play rook e5, doesn't that win a piece? Why am I mistaken? Rook e5. Knight discovers check. Knight takes rook. Knight takes rook check. Oh, I seem to win a piece. Let's try rook e5 because his rook's attacked. Yeah, I'm going to play rook e5 and let's hope for the best. Okay. Ah, but can I not now take the knight? Ah, she's going to get my rook. But I will have two knights against a rook and a passed pawn. So I'm still going to do that. Yeah, now I can move my king up. Now I can get my passed pawn. Now he's done rook there. Now I think I'm going to move my pawn down the board and try and queen. Can I get there in time? Let's try it. e4. Oh, king there. Okay. e3. Now, oops, move the king. Get the king into the action. And now we go there. Oh, we could go there. Check. No, we've got to move the knight around a bit. Let's put the knight on e5. I want to go e2 check. and then queen the pawn. Okay. Ah, she's being annoying. Ah, because she's pinning my knight. Now what do I do? Gotta do something. Okay, I'm gonna have to come around the houses because I can't promote. See, if I play e2 check, she blockades with her king, and I can't play knight d3 check, and then queen my pawn. So I'm gonna have to come on. G3. I want to get to attack that queen square. How am I going to do that? Okay. Don't know how to win this position. There must be a way. 2 knights against a rook. Rook e3. Yeah, he's going to get the king to e2. So what are my knights doing? Why am I not? I know what I've got to get my knight round. Okay. I have a plan, sort of. Can I go? Wait a minute. What about trying this one? Okay, I have another plan. Now I come here. Okay. It's just been... So that little plan didn't work either. What are we going to do? Okay, let's move the knight in here. Check again. Okay. Now, I think I really want to win his weak pawns. Right, let's try another move. Let's try the knight coming to h6. Maybe attacking the weak g pawn. Now move the knight to f5, attacking the pawn on g4. Now I could play knight takes g3 check. That's making progress. I've won a pawn. Maybe I can win the other pawn now. I hate to be sadistic. Now I could maybe get this pawn here. Right. Now I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of fast pawns. Aha. Even the mighty Beth cannot save this position. There's lots and lots of pawns. Going to queen. Right. Now if I want to, can I not just check her? Then push that. No, if I check her, then yeah, I can check her, then push the pawn. She can't stop it queening. Right, okay. Check. Okay, stick that up your jumper, sorry, in your pipe and smoke it. Okay. Down we come. Ooh, now we can play a spectacular combination. Yeah, I'm going to get a queen. Then a brilliant fork. Now I take. Yeah. Now want to escape you. It's the tricky one. I'm just trying to work out the quickest way to mate. Now let's just go knight. Yeah. Right. This is very difficult. What's the best move here? I know. Let's white black to play and mate in two. I'm sure you can all work out the mate in two. What is it? Black to play and mate in two. Yes, I'm sure you've all seen king to g3. Now, let's get a rook. Right. Well, that was tough. That was really tough. Great. Okay, so we managed to beat the Beth at 2400. I see what you did there. I can't believe I let that happen. Thanks for the offer of another game. But, of course, you know, you played this game. Maybe you took about 5 minutes, Beth, on it. And I took about 5 hours. So we're not really equal. Thank you for the game and for having the patience to play with me. Oh yes, this is the end for this year anyway, I think. No live stream next week, which would normally be, is it the 23rd? So the 23rd, we might have one on the 30th. Yeah. Keep you updated on Facebook. I hope you're all inspired to go out and become great players and great teachers. Because if I can beat the Beth Harmon, the strongest female in the world, you should have no fear either.